Hi, and welcome to the first episode of this Yin series that is inspired by the meridians of the body. And today we're focused on the kidney meridian. So we're going to get started whenever we're feeling ready. We start off by grounding in one of my favorite grounding poses, which is butterfly. So we're going to bring the sit bones to the floor. You can use the hands just to move the fleshier parts of the buttocks to the side so that your two sit bones are firmly on the ground. We're going to draw the knees wide. The soles of the feet come together, and the feet can be as close or as far from your pelvis as you need. They don't have to be as close as you physically can draw them. We want around a 6 or 7 out of 10 just to ease us into the practice. So it shouldn't feel so intense that you're pushing yourself right to your limit. Once you've found that intensity where you really feel that opening, it feels quite nice through the hips, through the inner thighs. You might feel even a little bit of compression here, but it doesn't feel so intense that all you can think about is when the pose will be over. That's when we know we've found our edge. That's when we begin to relax down through the muscles. We soften all of the areas that we target, the inner hips, the inner thighs. Soften the back. Soften the forehead, the face muscles, the tongue. Everything becomes that little bit heavier. In Yin Yoga, we might focus a little bit more on the stacking of the vertebrae, the opening of the heart. But in Yin, we focus on softening and melting and surrendering. We don't need that perfectly upright spine. We don't need the muscles of the legs to focus on or control how deep we go into the pose. And instead we just allow gravity to sink us down. To take us deeper into the pose. To be present by allowing the sensations of the pose to come to the forefront of our focus. Yin is a meditative practice where we allow the observer state, the part of us that is separate from the mind, separate from the body, to take the driving seat or the wheel of the entire practice. At points, the brain will chip in and try and take control of your practice, and that is absolutely fine and very normal and expected. When that happens, we fall back into present. We fall back into the body, back into what we can feel, where we can feel it, how intense it is. We notice if we're softened in those muscles, and if we're not, we go ahead and relax them down if that feels okay for you to do. We observe the body, we observe the energy, we observe the breath that we're currently taking. We observe thoughts as they come and go. When you're feeling ready, we're going to use the arms to scoop your legs nice and close together. And then we send the legs long, one by one. We come into a nice tall seated position, And I'll show you this one from the side so you have a little bit of a better idea of how this one will look. So this is your caterpillar pose. We start off nice and tall and then we allow a folding forward. So this is both a counter pose and a pose in and of itself. The areas that we've just targeted in butterfly are now being released in caterpillar. In this pose, we encourage a little bit more of a forward fold, allowing the crown and the heart space to gently melt down towards the toes and the knees. If you do have a bolster, you can absolutely take the bolster onto your lap and allow yourself to fold forwards over that bolster. We allow a softness through the feet. A softness through the knees, through the thighs and the calves, through the lower back. We allow a curling forwards of the shoulders, a heaviness through the neck and the head. If you notice the mind begin to wander, give yourself permission to not respond. Often in day-to-day life, we are constantly having to react, to do, to respond, constantly in that state of demand. But your time on the mat, especially in Yin, is completely yours. You don't need to change. You don't need to be anything other than exactly as you are. Even if you've arrived on the mat with your energy feeling completely off, it doesn't matter. You don't even need to correct your energy. You don't need to have good feeling thoughts. You don't even need to feel happy, zen, calm. All we need to do is just arrive and exist, accepting exactly where we're at in the present moment. Just allowing ourselves to be exactly as we are. And that's what Yin is mostly about. Yang, we are chasing, we're changing, we're doing, which is amazing in day-to-day life. But it needs that balance. We need time where we accept, and we exist, and we're still and silent. We allow ourselves to be and return. Return to our natural state, separate from the body, separate from the brain, giving yourself deep rest. Not physical rest necessarily, not even mental rest, but allowing the soul to rest. Just spending that quality time with yourself. In silence and in stillness. When you're feeling ready, we slowly peel up. Now our next pose is targeting a very similar area. So we are going to take a counter pose here of child's pose. So we're going to move onto our fronts when you're feeling ready. You can draw your knees wide for a little bit more room to breathe if that feels right for you. Or you can draw your knees together if you prefer a more traditional compact child's pose. You could have your arms out in front to get that lovely deep stretch through the back. Or you could scoop your arms behind you, like so. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we're going to make our way back up. We're going to come into our next pose, Dragonfly. So this pose, if you do have a bolster, then you can absolutely grab your bolster and incorporate it in this movement. If you do so, it would be drawing the bolster upright, encouraging a little bit of a bend like so that this flat bit can gently become a little platform for your forehead. That is not comfortable for everyone, and if it's not, you can absolutely just use your hands on the ground. If you're feeling super flexy today, then you might plant it down on the ground instead. However, that is going to really target all the way down through the insides and the backs of the legs. So listen to your body, do what feels right for you. If you want a little in between, you could plant your forearms down instead. Wherever we end up, wherever we land, we encourage a softness in the body, starting at the points that we're targeting. The inner hips, the backs of the legs. If you soften down and it automatically feels too much, draw the feet closer towards one another. That allows you to ensure that you're not overstretching. We never want to push our body further than we feel comfortable with in Yin. Yin is all about that perfect balance between compassion and discipline. Meeting yourself at your limit and breathing through the sensations that arise, the ebbs and flows of intensity. Yin can be whatever you want it to be on that day. You can focus a little bit more on the simplicity, the hard ground, the weight of the body, gravity, and allow those to come together to make your perfect pose today, coming to your edge, allowing those intense sensations to take your focus, and just sitting with them and breathing through them. Or if you feel that you need a little bit more nurturing, if you want the poses to feel more like a hug, then we incorporate things like bolsters and blankets and blocks, and we bring the ground up to us. We allow ourselves to feel even more held by our base. When we allow stillness, slowness at the start of the session, they can often feel very uncomfortable. The stillness can feel like something we need to fidget through. The slowness can feel like something we want to move through. The silence can feel like something we want to chatter through, feeling those moments of silence. But the more we develop that yin energy throughout the course of our class, the more we bring the body into a state of yin, the nervous system begins to follow, the mind gradually begins to follow. We begin to bring balance into the yin-yang energies. We encourage flow through the meridian system, that flow of chi or prana, that flow of life force. The more we deepen into our practice, the more comfortable silence begins to feel, the more rested we are in a state of complete stillness. Stillness and silence is one of the most productive things that we can do for ourselves. But we don't do it because it's productive. We do it to return to our natural state, to return to ourselves. If your mind begins to wander, that's okay and that's normal. It's thought that when we are face down, closed off, heart shining in an introspective position, that often the mind might wander more towards those of emotion, those loaded with memories or attachments. When we're feeling ready, we walk our hands slowly up. We're going to use the hands to scoop our bolster away. Be very mindful of your legs here. So you can use your hands to scoop your legs in, like so. You walk the legs around if that feels okay for you. And we're coming into our reclined twist. So we have a few options here, and you take whatever one feels right for you. You can again incorporate your bolster. So option 1 would be taking one leg up and drawing it over towards one side. Option 2 would be bending that base leg. And then option 3, if you would like to incorporate your bolster, you could rest your knee down, or some people even like to place the bolster between their legs. So do whatever feels right for you. There is no right or wrong in yin, as long as the pose feels okay for your body, as long as it feels natural. It might feel intense at points. We might be pushing ourselves to around that 6 or 7 out of 10. It might not feel easy, but it always feels right. You intuitively know that your body is okay with this deep stretch. And it's so important that we check in with that first, because we are going deep into the body. We're going past the superficial layers, deep into what we call the yin tissue, the ligaments, the tendons, the joints, the fascia. The fascia is often thought of like a spider's web. So it's really, really interlinked, interlaced, kind of looks like lace. And it should be moving and healthy. But often when we have physical tension, movement of the fascia can be very uncomfortable. When we take these deep, deep yin stretches, it's like pushing down onto that fascia, holding it firmly until any tension releases and dissipates, and that movement becomes nice and loosey-goosey again, nice and free, nice and comfortable. When we have this, energy or prana or chi can flow more freely through those areas. We hold less tension in the physical body. And when the body is relaxed, the mind is more relaxed. When the body is still, the mind eventually becomes more still. We use the body and the breath, two things that we can control, to bring the energy and thoughts into alignment with yin. Bringing stillness to the body and slowness to the breath eventually snowballs to every single part of yourself. That gentleness and that compassion, that slower pace. Each and every part of you benefits from this practice. When you're feeling ready, slowly bring that leg back through center. Slide both legs into a bend. We're going to move onto the other side. Move slowly and mindfully. When you're feeling ready, allow yourself to gently guide that leg up and over towards the right side of the room. We'd like the pose to feel gentle and intense at the same time, full of compassion and discipline. The hardness of the ground, the weight of gravity, the weight of the body, drawing you deeper and deeper. Yet the softness of the muscles, which are completely relaxed, completely surrendering down into the pose. The ebbing and flowing of intensity, which might start off feeling a little bit more intense and gradually dissipate, feeling more and more gentle. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, going to gently encourage that leg back through center. You might use your hands. You might just gently step that foot back. We send both legs long here, coming into our Savasana. Place your hands anywhere on your person that feels as though it needs extra nurturing or attention. We close down the eyes. We relax down the jaw. Soften the cheeks and the forehead. Allow the body to be completely heavy, completely held. The body is grounded, and the mind is completely grounded in the body, focusing only on the rise and fall of the breath, the movement of energy, whether that be the sensation of blood flow, the expansion and contraction of the breath, the sensation of movement, coolness, warmth, tingling in the areas that you've targeted, specifically through the front of the hips, tops of the thighs. Observe how much movement there is in your body whilst you're completely still. If your mind begins to wander, gently encourage it back to present. Each meridian governs different emotions, different internal organs. And the kidney meridian that we focused on today should allow us to go into our day feeling replenished with energy, feeling more balanced, less fatigue, not only in our body, but also in our heart, in our minds, and our soul. Maybe falling a little bit into a slower pace today and being okay with that. That is enough for today. We don't need to be in that energy of doing. And we get instead just to experience. Experiencing life in our lovely body. For the last few breaths here, send love throughout your whole body, as if you're breathing it in through your nose and it's overflowing down to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes, the top of your head, and it's exhaling out into the space around you as if it's radiating out of your heart. when you're feeling ready, bringing movement into your fingers and your toes, we slide the legs into a bend one by one. We roll onto our sides and we come up into a comfortable seat. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I look forward to sharing the next practice in the series with you tomorrow. Thank you.